Hi, David. Thank you for joining our podcast on the spot. Welcome to the LuxLiv Property Podcast.
Thank you, Marussia. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm looking forward to chatting with you today and hopefully sharing some insightful information in terms of what we're going to discuss today.
How long have we known each other for? Do you remember?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was just post-COVID. So what is that? 2020 was the end of COVID. And I think we basically met after hard lockdown had already ended. I think you contacted me based off of a little really bad ad that I released.
It's
the
brilliant.
Agents are coming, and
Yes.
I will be sure to share that ad probably on my social feed soon, just to
You
show
must.
this was sort of the genesis of where everything started.
Absolutely. In actual fact, it was this wild horses running, and I saw it, and I still, how many years? 4 years later, I think of that ad and I laugh. Because we were all locked for how many months? 3 months, from April to June or something. And we were actually doing work from home. We were doing Zoom videos and presenting houses on Zoom and hosting 80 people at a time to show them houses. So we were working, but I was feeling so claustrophobic by the time lockdown was announced to be ending, and that ad came out, and it was these wild horses running, and it said the agents are coming, and I'm like, this is exactly what I'm gonna be doing. I'm gonna be stomping out of the house faster than a horse.
Because, I mean, I remember the agents, well, just about every industry, but specifically agents people weren't able to move. So if you had a rental book, you were in a good space at least because you had some income. But if you were purely sales, it was a really tough time. So I just saw the opportunity of agents on the loose. Like the barricades had been removed, and suddenly they were on their chariots and they were ready to rumble. So that's kind of what inspired that. But that's where we got to know each other, I think, because you still called me, I think, or opted into something.
Yeah. And nothing's changed. The agents are still on the loose.
They're still on the loose, but probably minus the horses these days.
Maybe a little bit more tame than the wild horses.
Who, the agents or the horses?
We're going to talk about small business. We're both small business owners as of today. And I think if I remember correctly, you were working somewhere and COVID pushed you towards being a small business owner. What's the story?
Yeah, so my background is media. It's always been in media, publishing, journalism, and then I went into marketing and copywriting. And I was working for a company, and then COVID happened, hard lockdown, and basically the entire subscriber base wanted to put their subscriptions on hold with sort of like no resolution in sight. So the company itself was also going through a transition. So they were basically moving from their existing product to something else, which looked like a better product, but it cost more. And because real estate is a very cost-sensitive industry, sometimes if you up a subscription by 100 Rand, it can make a huge difference to your subscriber base. And essentially, the management called everybody in and said, look, it's probably going to happen that we're going to be looking at retrenchments. And being part of the marketing team, generally the ones that get cut first, because it's just the way it is. And I was retrenched. I came with an idea to save the company. I said, look, you've got a CRM system here. And the one thing that agents generally do struggle with, and I mean, we're talking real estate here, they struggle with content and they struggle with marketing themselves and their business and their products. So my suggestion was, you've got the CRM, you've got parts of a communication automation platform, at the very least SMS and email at the time. And I said, why don't we create content that agents can now use and leverage for their own businesses? Maybe the way I explained it wasn't clear enough, but it wasn't really taken up as an option to save the company. And that's when I was retrenched, dabbling around a few things. I did find that what agents really needed was a way to market themselves. They needed ready done content that spoke to the consumer, not necessarily inflated the ego of the practitioner themselves. And I think a lot of us, when you're in your own business, you have your blinkers on, so you don't always see what the consumer wants to see, and you don't speak the way the consumer wants to be spoken to. So the key is to always try and put yourself in the shoes of the consumer, have a conversation basically that's going on inside their heads in your marketing, so that you resonate better with your customer. So that's what really started me down my journey of discovering what it is that my industry that I enjoy working with wants, and how to deliver that product and that service. And at the time, it was MailChimp landing pages with autoresponders. That's what I could offer. But it's not a scalable business model. At least for me, it wasn't. So I found a software that could basically, where I could create content, I could create landing pages, I could create automations and workflows and everything that an agent would need to really prop up their marketing. And I was able to essentially replicate what worked. So the perfect recipe of what people need in their marketing, and replicate that over and over with tweaks and with customization built in. But ultimately a system that wasn't just there for lead capture, but it was also there for nurture and re-engagement with your database and continually growing your customer base. So that's really excuse me, that's really where I started and what I identified as an opportunity in the market at the time.
So how long did it take you from the plain MailChimp concept? When I met you, you were not on MailChimp, you were already on your software property funnels.
Yeah, so it didn't take too long. It was really just a timing issue.
Okay.
I wasn't aware of the softwares, all the softwares at the time.
Okay.
And because I was basically running on fumes, there was no real income coming into the household. It was my wife, and at the time she was actually a financial planner, and she was not a good one. So she was very good with people. She was just very bad at selling. And, in business, you need to know how to sell your service and sell your products. And I helped her with some ads, but I think her heart really wasn't into that sort of job in and of itself. So at the time, even though there was software out there, it was about how to get enough money and time to build a small business quickly. And I got I think it was a 30-day trial of the software. And then I had a small email list because of the MailChimp landing pages and because of what I was doing on Facebook groups. I was continually collecting email addresses and contact information of my market, which was agents. And I leveraged the hell out of that market using MailChimp emails first, and trying to get in front of people, trying to tell stories about what I was learning so that hopefully some people would take me up on my offer. And because of that, I was able to get one client, and one client then became a few more clients, and you were among the very, very, very first core group of clients that I actually had to learn a software and try and build a system that would work based on a lot of feedback that I got at the time, especially from agents like yourself, because I couldn't purport to know everything. I just knew what I was good at. So trying to marry those two worlds together.
Yeah, because really with small business, the biggest issue when you're starting a small business, whether it's real estate or you're on the other side, but you're the support function of real estate, is you need to sell, so you need to get the income, but at the same time you need to learn the product, you need to market the product. And in real estate, especially with agents, we are on the road the whole time. So what I find has always been an issue for me is we watch all these programs and learn what we need to do. And you need to post every single day on Facebook. You need to create video content. You need to create email lists. You need to do so many things that if you add up all the activities you need to do to become that successful agent that all the training programs tell you, you literally need to have 100-hour, I don't know, on Mars it's 25-hour days. So you need like to be on Jupiter or something with 100-hour day. So how do you find, because literally what you're doing is something that can be done for any business. If I'm a plumber, I still need to create a mailing list to remind people of myself, because there are many plumbers out there. Or if I am in any form of small business, there's that disconnect where we do the work, we rush to do the work, and we take every job, but we leave behind that whole marketing function and the nurturing of the existing database because we're chasing the next income opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is always the challenge, especially if you are in an industry where your day job is consumed by people calling you or walking in, or you never really have the opportunity to sit and be quiet and think. And I think the only way to really do that is to scale through systems. Every little thing that you do in your business is an opportunity for content. Whether it's, if you're a plumber, whether it's you taking videos of yourself or videos after a job has been completed, always look for opportunities to create content that resonates with people that would be your ideal customer. Some industries, though, are a little bit less swayed by, or the customer decision is less swayed by your marketing and more about your availability. So plumbers, we don't really have a plumber that we have a relationship with. We have a plumber that we have a need for at the time that the toilet goes or there's an issue with your plumbing. Your professional services are a bit different because they need constant reassurance and nurturing, and that becomes a client base and referrals. So if you look at what the plumber needs to do, the plumber needs to just be available and accessible on the platforms that their market visits. And for one of those sorts of industries, it would definitely be Google. Google would be your best opportunity to bring in new customer from your number one Google business profile, your website, and having a form on that website that at least has a automatic reply.
I was going to say, even that, as simple as it sounds, there's so many complexities because you are the first to say push for Google reviews, for example. So what can you do with Google alone and your website that can already elevate your business if you're a one-man show?
So Google already, I mean, in the years that Google has evolved, what you see now, a Google business profile, which is the old Google My Business. So basically it's, you can create one, they're free. Sometimes it can take a little bit longer than a few weeks to get it set up because Google needs to actually send you a postcard generally to your registered address. So it helps to have a registered address that can receive mail.
It helps if the post office is working.
I've never had an issue with not receiving it. It's just a timing thing. So the sooner you start, the better generally. But a few things that you do when you set it up. Number one, you set up your category. So whatever service or product you offer, it's important that your category matches.
Okay.
And because you're normally, if it's a plumber or an electrician or anybody in a local business, it's about your local market. So people searching plumber near me is a real thing. It's a real search term. Yeah. So you can start typing plumber and you'll get an auto-complete on Google because enough people search for that. Plumber near me, real estate agent near me, anything near me. And because Google tracks where we live and where we're browsing from through our phones, through our laptops, or where we say we are, your search results are generally pretty accurate. So the first step is to have your product category correct. Number two, it's the places you serve. So list the areas that you serve. And then number three, make sure that you've got up-to-date contact information. So your phone number needs to match whatever's on your website. It needs to match what's on your Facebook profile. It needs to match wherever you've got a business listing. It's important for accuracy purposes, and Google will reward you with that by actually giving your Google business profile opportunity to be seen by people in that local market. Reviews, make sure that you collect reviews. But if you look at what you've got today on Google business profile, you also have the opportunity for live chat. That's customers actually from desktop or from mobile. It used to just be mobile. At least have the opportunity for people to contact you directly because people don't like to pick up a phone as much as they used to. and they don't want to email you. They don't want to go to your website, find your email address, type it in their email inbox. So having a form on your website and having the chat widget on your Google Business Profile is actually a really, really good opportunity to
So is that
leverage
a thing?
Google.
Is it active? I wasn't even aware that you get a chat option.
Similar to what you would do with Messenger, Instagram DMs, especially for business platforms. The problem there is that a lot of those channels aren't always monitored. So it would be on the business owner's phone because they would be the person setting it up generally. But if you're a plumber and you're underneath a sink, or you're in a roof, or you're under the house, or whatever you're doing, and your phone beeps and someone wants to contact you, you have an opportunity to probably bring in some business right now. But because of your because you're the one actually holding yourself back in terms of answering someone, you don't have the opportunity always to respond in time. Because what do? We search via, if I go plumber near me, I'm going to search and I'm going to see, okay, there's a couple of options here. I'm going to look at your review count. I'm going to look at how recent those reviews were. And then I'm going to contact a few people. And the first person who comes back to me, probably I'm going to use. So if you don't come back to the person in time within those first 5 minutes at the very least, you've basically just lost the opportunity to do business with that person because they've probably already found somebody else.
So it's 5 minutes, eh? So this whole thing of putting your phone on silence and not looking at your phone for hours is a no-go if you're a small business owner.
Well, it is and it isn't. This is why if you have systems in place that can integrate and connect these platforms where you need to be, but you don't always need to be on your phone and you don't always have to be on call. It also, think about it. I mean, you could be a small business owner, one-man show, sole proprietor. You could be an electrician driving around, plumber driving around, real estate agent driving around. Anybody really that runs their own small business, you could either hire someone for the odd chance that someone's going to contact you. So you're paying somebody a monthly salary for the odd chance that someone contacts you, that you can convert that person. Or you can invest in a system that can connect those platforms, that at the very least you are notified, and number two, they are acknowledged, and what the next step could be. Because that's generally the difference for a person waiting for a human to come back to them, at least acknowledging. I don't know how many websites I've been on where I've looked for, I mean, a classic example, my wife and I are looking for guitar lessons for my daughter. And she contacted someone just the other day, and she said, look, the website was horrible. Normally when you fill in your details, it goes to a confirmation page that says, hey, thanks so much.
I think she's spoiled because you do that.
I do that, but she sees this. Yeah. And when I put my email and my phone number in as a customer or a potential customer, my knee-jerk reaction is to go and check my inbox or check my phone. And if nothing comes, I'm going to be like, okay, well, what do I do now? Do I then look for the next person?
Yeah.
So at the very least, something that acknowledges that request and assures the person someone's going to come back to you, or even better, here's a place to book. So connecting a calendar shows again another opportunity to get commitment from the customer that they're actually going to want to talk to you at that specified time that works for you as the business owner, because that's ultimately what we need. We need we need opportunities to talk to people, because the more people, the more conversations you're having generally means the more business you have the opportunity to bring in, because it still requires a human connection. You can't do everything through a system online, automated. Not everything can be automated, at least when it comes to like that point of sale contact.
It's actually, I mean, you made me think about this now, because obviously I've also done a lot of Google searches, and you're 100% right. If I don't get that response, and I know it's an autoresponder, it comes on a weekend even, sometimes if I'm searching, we were looking for professional photographers for headshots for all the agents. There's an automated response, but there were other sites that I'd submitted, and by not getting the response, I actually thought this business is dead, because often you find sites that are, just up there because someone paid the annual subscription, but they're no longer in operation. So you do keep looking. So that's actually so true that we are conditioned now that we're getting a response. It has to be instant. So as an agent, again, that's on the road and we're not necessarily technical, would you say that this is now a must, for a small business? Because it sounds to me, and I've lost deals definitely by not replying fast enough to an inquiry, and that person just called another agent, and that agent happened to answer that second. So that seems to be a must now, to have a system.
I think it's a must if your intention is to scale and grow. If you're pretty happy with where you're at, then I think probably not so much. But if you've got good aspirations and you really want to grow your business, and I haven't really ever met somebody that doesn't, but maybe there are people out there that are pretty content with what they're doing, I think it's imperative today that you actually have something like that in place, because the attention span for people today is, it seems to be dwindling all the time. And everyone's competing for eyeballs and attention the whole time. So, I mean, if you are doing enough work on your marketing, if you're doing enough work on your organic opportunities to get customers, your Google business profile, your website, you're doing content on YouTube, you're doing content on TikTok or Facebook or Instagram or any of the channels like that, if you are, doing everything right, my expectation when I reach out to you is that something happens. And if nothing happens, then like you say, I'm going to think, okay, well, that didn't meet my expectation at all. There's a mismatch because you look really hot on marketing, but your follow-up and your follow-through is, the journey doesn't extend beyond that.
Yeah.
And I think that's the mismatch that people have. And again, any industry, I think the consumer tends to now know more about tech and the way things should operate than the actual people in industries that are working in industries. Real estate is a good example. Consumers expect immediate response, and they expect, they expect a lot, which is just the way the world is working. And if an agent can't follow up and follow through with what that expectation is, the person loses a lot of faith in their credibility and their ability to actually market their property for them. Because what do you want? If you're saying, we're going to take your property and we're going to market it to a database, we use cutting edge marketing techniques, which, let's face it, most times is Property24, private property, and maybe putting it onto a Facebook page on a website. That is the
famous
innovative,
post and pray.
That is the innovative marketing strategies that a lot of people say they're going to do, and it's really basically now a requirement. It's the baseline of what you should be doing. But again, I mean, real estate, because I understand it and because I've worked in it so much, I speak normally from that perspective, but it's the same for any industry. I mean, it's really the same for any financial advisor, people that are at the front line of their businesses that are generally just them. They need to have a system in place. There's lots now. You can find them online. There's a lot of opportunities. And I mean, if you want, we can chat a bit about systems too that are recommended for certain industries. And then, there's free tools and then there's paid for tools. But the paid for tool is always going to be the one that's going to be the best for you and your business long term, because it doesn't help, just trying to piece everything together and getting a mishmash of tech. Yeah. Because things break, and then you don't know why and you don't know where. You're only aware of these things when somebody phones you and says, "Hey, where's that thing that you promised?" And now you've got to go and look through your entire tech stack that you've pieced together, because you were trying to save some bucks, but now you're wasting time and you potentially lose a customer. And
obviously the free versions come with no support. So that's, apart from breaking, then there's no one to call to say it's not working. So, I mean, I do understand that, but systems are very overwhelming. So sometimes it is better to start with a free one just to see. But what I found, and that is so, true for me, I'm sure it's true for most people, is that we sign up for many systems. They all look amazing. and you sign up for that 14-day, 30-day trial, and you don't touch it. You actually forget that you signed up for that thing, so how are you being on that end of the spectrum where someone reaches out to you? How do you sell them the concept that this is actually really, really good for them? Because I think we kind of all know it, but it's also a lot of effort to implement, and then it becomes a vicious circle. I must chase the next sale. I don't have time for this. What do we do about that? Or how have you navigated it with all the agents? Because we're hard to pin down.
I think and I mean, you touched on a point of we sign up for things that are free or free trial, and then we don't touch it. And I think right from the start, I never ever thought of doing free trials, because if you don't pay attention. So there's a commitment if you pay, even if it's a little, it's not a lot for what you get. And it still means I'm paying with my money now, and I need to put some time investment into learning something, because nothing is really ever a silver bullet. Nothing just works out the box and suddenly generates customers for you. The other way that we've managed to navigate that is with us, I think, in my business, I get on calls with clients. So I never ever miss an onboarding. I never ever just bring somebody in without having spoken to them first to really try and understand what it is that they need. And if I don't believe that this would be right for them, I would suggest they go look here or go do this first before they come here. Just because it's just setting a person up for failure, and it's a bad reputation on my business if I've got a lot of people coming in, but they're churning every month because there's not enough, they're just not ready. And I think this is what I've learned is don't be so quick to onboard and sell when it's easy to do that when someone's willing. But if you don't believe it's going to be the right fit for them just yet, then give them tools and strategies that they can use to get to that point, because it's going to save both of you a lot of heartache and stress down the line. So I think, and another point is the local company sort of connection with real people. I think that's important today, because, I mean, I had a MailChimp subscription. I never spoke to anybody at MailChimp. MailChimp simply actually doesn't even have a support desk. They don't have there are Facebook groups set up for MailChimp support that are set up by MailChimp users. So they've got support documentation, but oftentimes, as you know, support documentation, it's like that's a cycle in of itself. As the product changes, you need to update. But if there's no one to actually speak to and ask your questions, because who has time to go through all the support docs? And if they're missing key pieces of information that are relevant to you, then you need to talk to someone. And a lot of companies have, I think, lost, especially in the software and the SaaS game, they've lost the connection with the consumer, the person that they're actually serving, by selling them software, but not really giving them any other opportunity to stay a customer. And I think what I also have learned, it's a lot easier to leave, well, actually, sorry, let me rephrase that. It's a lot harder to leave a friend than it is to leave a company that you've never spoken to a person in. So if you can become friends with your customers, even in I wouldn't say superficial, but certainly on a business you know, you and I have become friends. You have left Property Funnels in the past, not because of any other, we didn't have a fallout, but your needs had changed at the time.
It's exactly it. I wasn't, at the time it wasn't working, but it was actually needed. But I felt I needed to check something else. And then I was back, because I'm like, okay.
And I mean, it was hard for you to write that email, because again, you've got a relationship. At a certain level, you care about each other still. And I think it's so important today that we can do so much, we can scale so far, and we can be seen so far. If we lose that key piece of our business, which is the human being in the business, then I think it's just not it's not a growth solution for a lot of companies. So you still need to be available in your company. You can't have everything over to automated systems.
So in terms of then automation, because that's exactly it. As agents also, I mean, I have lifetime clients that are, years later, we're still reselling, renting, investment properties and so on. But you do want to automate. So because, like you said, you can't grow. But apart from the growth factor, I think also the industry, and it's probably the same for any small business, the industry is growing so much and it has become so competitive. And South Africa, in a sense, is actually amazing that you can pretty much start any small business. It's a lot easier to start a business here if coming from Europe, if I was to compare in terms of legalities and, there's just so many hoops you have to jump through in Europe. But here you can start a business, and even if you don't want to grow, there's so many other people starting behind you and maybe more innovative, more interesting, more cutting edge. Their videos look better or whatever the case is. So you actually have to keep staying ahead of the game. So I think we kind of started very early compared to others. But what would you say for any estate agent or a small business, what is the minimum automation you would advise that they have? And then how far can you go? Give me like a 5-point minimum and then give me some advanced tools where I can, if I'm really tech and very, very competitive, I want to nail it.
It's a tough one because, again, it's different for each person. But I think it fundamentally comes down to conversations. I think if you can if you look at automated, what do we use? We use WhatsApp, right? So, and depending on how active you are on WhatsApp, I think at the very least having some sort of WhatsApp integrated tool. Privia is a good example of a really nice tool for connecting lead source ads from Facebook, for example, and creating a small little database CRM. Obviously, my own software, Property Funnels, integrates also with WhatsApp and a whole bunch of other stuff. But I think fundamentally what you need is something that can be easy for you to communicate automatically with people, and then over and above that, having something that schedules an appointment. I mean, those are the two key ingredients, I think, to, number one, be responsive, number two, be available, and number three, meet with people. Yeah. Because if you look at the DNA of a real estate transaction, whether it's a buyer or a seller, maybe a landlord and a tenant too, it generally starts with a phone call. This is that's the most important part for real estate. And I think a phone call could be a phone call, as in the traditional sense of a phone call. It could also be a WhatsApp call incoming. So it can take both forms. But I would say systems-wise, very bare minimum what you need is something that can be automatically an inbound to you, and something that is automatically outbound from a system or from your own WhatsApp through a system at the very least. And then having an integrated calendar system that looks at your availability and makes it easy for people to book with you. Because if you preset your availability and say these times, these dates work for me, and it connects to my Google Calendar, it connects to my iCloud, it connects to my Outlook, whatever it might be, it can check and see, yes, Marussia is available on Thursday at 10, and it will only give that person the times that you're available so that you don't have double bookings. And then once you've got that appointment, a nice touch, and probably makes a lot of difference in terms of actually getting in front of people at the appointment, is some sort of reminder sequence that says, hey, David, thanks for booking. We'll see you then 2 days later. Hey, don't forget about our appointment the day before. We're so excited to see you. And these are also your opportunities to pre-sell and soften the client a bit with what's to come, getting to know you kind of stuff. Telling a bit of your story in that upcoming appointment sequence. Because if they learn more about you, they get more comfortable, so that by the time the appointment actually happens, the person feels like they know you more. And it's, again, more of an opportunity for you to listen to what they need, because they don't have to ask you all the questions that they normally do. Yeah.
So in other words, throw away your diary, your paper, pen and paper diary must go, hey? Because, doing your own appointments and then someone else booking you in, you have to watch your Google Calendar. Because it sounds basic, but, some agents are just used to their handheld diary. That's it. So we do need to change our mindset, actually.
I think so. I mean, I think nothing wrong with having a hard copy if that's what you prefer, but it's a good idea to have something that mirrors that in an online format. Again, the fluidity of it is nice because things change and things move around, and no one can access your hardcover beautiful diary except you. So it's very hard for someone to know how available you are. And remember, people don't book appointments when you want them to.
Yeah.
They will do it at strange times of the day. So if you have to wait until 8 a.m. the next day, and they were trying to book with you maybe at 11 o'clock the night before, by the time you get to your diary and you say, this works for me, guess what? The person's availability has suddenly changed. And you lose again that opportunity. So being accessible, being easy to reach, being easy to book with is like key in real estate and in any industry for that matter that requires an appointment to take place before a potential sale or a deal is concluded.
So just a note there, though, your WhatsApp has to be converted into business WhatsApp, right?
Yeah, at the very least. I mean, you've got a lot of opportunities to market yourself and your business on business WhatsApp too. You've got catalogs. You can do a lot more with it. So, yeah, I mean, there's not much. People can go do research on what the differences are, but I think just those two things alone make most amount of sense for someone that sells products like a house and can put their websites, can put their business card links, anything that's important to them. Plus also like, managing your contacts and creating a small little mini CRM on your WhatsApp with labels. And again, those are things that people simply never really do. But your WhatsApp isn't there to replace a good quality system because your WhatsApp is generally business and personal. It's not just business unless you have a dedicated line for business.
So that's the basics. What's, I would say then WhatsApp, phone calls, diaries, and maybe Google My Business, right? And what is the advanced? Where can we go if we want to be super competitive?
So I think advanced would be basically investing in a good system. So investing in like a quality marketing CRM system. Property Funnels is a good example of one. There are others on the market. And then looking at what the costs are. What you're looking for there is something that is in my pocket, so it has an app, something that has the ability to create appointment scheduling, means of marketing. So that's like at the very least a form with some automation and some pipelines. Because what you need there is some way of conversations coming in and being able to manage and structure those conversations across channels. So it's not just email, it's not just WhatsApp, it's not just Facebook Messenger, it's all of those, Google Business Profile, everything in one place with one customer. So it's easy to find the conversation and converse with that person on the channel that they want to be talking to you on. And then, of course, it's, integrating your AIs of the world and trying to look at ways that you can leverage AI for incoming conversations, acknowledgements that are different as opposed to canned responses that are the same for every person. This way you can actually say, we've got like a ChatGPT integration that it takes whatever the incoming message is, you give it some context, you say, this is a message from this person on this channel, please reply appropriately, and tell them what the next step is going to be. When you can outline what these things are, so you can make it really bespoke and custom for your business, so that when somebody messages you on WhatsApp or when somebody messages you on Instagram, there's an appropriate acknowledgement and response that can then help the person take the next step where to go. So that could be downloading something, that could be checking out a specific listing if we're talking real estate, that could be directly getting onto the WhatsApp with that agent too. There's a lot of ways that you can leverage all your traffic sources pull them into one central hub, and then decide what you do with those sources, what you do with those potential customers, and what journeys you want to take them down.
Okay.
And I think what I did in the beginning was, when I started the MailChimp journey, and I started with emailing. I was emailing every single day. I literally sent an email a day, and I wrote it. And yes, I'm a copywriter, so I can write well, but anybody can do this. You've got ChatGPT to help you improve your writing. You might want to write something, you want to make it a bit clearer, make it a bit shorter, make it a bit more concise. Is to start today, write emails every single day. Even if your list is small, even if you've got a few people, don't worry about annoying people. Because the more you stress about what they are going to say, the less you do in your business to grow.
So do we ignore that completely? If they get annoyed, what happens?
If they get annoyed, generally, if you've got a good software product, it'll have an unsubscribe link.
Okay.
You can also unsubscribe them. I think that too many people stress about annoying people when you should be more stressed about making money and growing your business. And if one person's annoyed, then let them go. That's okay. It's strange. You'll have, there's a lot of things that people say that, you should and you shouldn't do. But I think ultimately what you always have to do is you need to be visible. You need to be getting attention. And if you have an email address, use it. Otherwise, what's the point of having a database? I mean, what are you collecting people's information for if you're not going to leverage it and grow from it? So those emails, that first bunch of emails that I created, I can't remember how many it was, but that is now part of my every new lead. I've got a sequence now. So I've got a sequence of emails and WhatsApps, and I change it every now and then. But right now it's about 400 days into the future. So when somebody subscribes at any channel, they come in off Facebook, they come in off Google Business Profile, they fill in one of my forms, whatever the inbound messaging source is, or that lead comes in. If I have an email address, if I have a WhatsApp number, they're part of a 400 plus day sequence, because what I've learned is people will not buy when you want them to buy.
Yeah, that's true.
They're excited about it now, but they may not be ready.
Yeah.
But if you fail to stay in touch with them, you lose the opportunity to do business in the future. That's why starting now, building it out slowly, and every new person that comes in starts at the top. And that means for the first bunch of people, it's going to be you manually one a day. And then for the next bunch, it's going to be maybe 20 days in the future, which is great. And then eventually what you're going to see is you're going to have 100 days. So in a year from now, a new customer comes in, fills in a form on your website, comes in on Facebook, comes in off your YouTube channel to your page, whatever it might be. What's going to happen is that they're going to go through a predefined sequence that you have the opportunity to always change and edit and update. Maybe you want to promote maybe more your YouTube channel. You want to promote your TikTok channel. You can always sprinkle other things in between that. But ultimately what you're looking for is a long-term nurture campaign that stays in touch with the person almost into perpetuity or until they unsubscribe. And I think that is the one thing that has been the difference in my business, is really looking at it from a 5-day cricket match and not a T20 cricket match. Okay. It's the long game that means that you're actually going to be in business next year. And it means that every call I get on with a person, if they don't buy now, they certainly do buy in future, because they're actually being nurtured slowly but surely, and something's going to trigger, something's going to change in that person's business, and then they're going to be ready. And that's how you convert more of your sales calls, more of your appointments into future business, by just having that one simple thing in place. And like I said, today, you've got access to easier tools to actually create content than has ever existed in the past. So I hope that answers the question, a really long roundabout kind of way.
Yeah, but I mean, basically what it's telling me is that you just can't give up, because you don't necessarily get instant responses. Because often what we do, and we still do it, so we actually, you got me thinking here, we do send an email campaign, we don't get any response, and we're like, oh, yeah.
Didn't work.
It doesn't work. Email's dead. What else can I do? So we jump from TikTok to YouTube to Shorts to Stories to WhatsApp status updates, but one a month of each or one a week of each, and then you actually don't see you actually don't see the benefit of it because you're not doing it consistently enough.
And you're not learning from what's not working.
Yeah.
So if you're sending an email and you're not sending a second email and then looking at the difference, what did we do different here versus here? And the key to really good, if we're talking emails, the key to good emails is keeping it really simple, plain text. People love to put in a takealot.com email, like a really pretty designed, because it's real estate and we want to show photos of properties.
Yeah.
But what do we actually really want as people sending emails? We want people to talk to us. We want a response. And I think if it's a simple email, like a transactional email, the same thing you would write on your Gmail or your Outlook, that same sort of text-based email with some information and a call to action that is generally just, reply if you're interested, is a really good strategy to at least get into a conversation with someone, because it's easier for me to reply to you and then you do all the work by helping me make my decision versus me now going to deciding which property do I like, going to the website, getting lost on the website.
Absolutely.
And then never knowing why I was there, and someone phones me and I bounce off the website, never to return. And you as the person sending the email thinks it didn't work. But it's because you sent them to the jungle instead of just keeping it really simple and saying, just reply. Because they might start replying, something happens, that email goes to draft.
Yeah.
And they'll come back to it, potentially, versus no other way to really contact you. So that's what you do on email. But looking at every other opportunity that we have today, I mean, like you say, you've got WhatsApp statuses, you've got TikTok, you've got Google, you've got YouTube. There's so many platforms. I think master the one platform one at a time really well, and then go to the next platform. But be specific about where your customer is. If your customer is on TikTok, then focus heavily on TikTok. Don't try to do everything. If your customer is on LinkedIn, focus on LinkedIn. For real estate, two good platforms to get in touch with people quickly is generally Facebook and Instagram, just because of the audience itself is a slightly aging market. And that's good for real estate because that means these are people with money or equity in property that could be potential sellers. So your advertising and your content lives really well there because it translates well, and it's easy to create content for both those two platforms. And for evergreen, it's a blog or it's a YouTube channel if you're comfortable with video. So,
I mean, we're getting very comfortable with video because we started 4 years ago, and it's now, we were just talking earlier, 900 videos later and counting, soon to be 1,000. But what I'm finding is when I met you, we were advertising on Facebook 4 years ago, and it was super successful. We had real customers there, whereas now I'm seeing the market shifting to YouTube. So I guess as a business, you have to watch where your actual customers are coming from, because there's a difference also. People who like to watch your content but don't actually buy anything from you versus people that want to. So for real estate, I'm not sure where the market is going right now, but I'm seeing more engagement by actual buyers via YouTube versus Instagram and Facebook, where the engagement is more conversations, people just wanting to be inspired by real estate, but not necessarily wanting to buy or sell real estate. Have you seen the same, or are you finding it different?
Again, it's market specific, and I think it also depends on where you've built your audiences.
Okay.
So if you don't have an established audience somewhere, my suggestion would be go with where the market is. And if you're looking for sellers, probably like I say, a good channel is Facebook, Instagram. Those are really good because they translate for real estate really well. It's images, it's videos, it's lives, it's just text. So there's multiple content types that you can leverage. And I mean, Reels from an organic perspective, do really well generally. But focusing actually today more heavily on your personal profile. Make sure your personal profile is a public profile, especially if you're a professional. And people tell me a lot, they say, no, but my personal profile is purely for friends and family. The truth is, back in 2015, business pages did really well. Facebook was like, you could have 1,000 people that liked your page and you would get a lot of engagement. Today, you're basically getting a 3%, if you're lucky. That's the standard.
Wow.
3% engagement based on based on your impressions. So it shows that I get 1,000 impressions, I'm only going to get a 3% engagement versus 30% on your personal profile. You get so much more. So invite your clients, potential clients, hang out where they hang out, create content that resonates with them, create reels from your personal profile, but maybe convert your personal profile into a professional profile, like a creator or a digital, whatever. I don't know. Facebook has a few things. You can go to your personal profile to check it out. It also opens up the opportunity to create advertising on your personal profile if you want to do that. So I think that would be one of the key things I would always look at, is just making yourself available and easy to find, and turn your personal profile into a little bit of a funnel. Put a link on your landing, on your cover image. You can create a nice cover image for what you do, and once that's posted, click on that photo and then click edit, and you'll be able to put a description of what you're selling, what you do on that personal profile. Because when you go to a group or you're commenting on your page and someone sees your content or it's shared, what do? They go and research who you are. And hey, presto, right at the top, there's a call to action on your cover photo. It says click me, they click it, and there's a link to your landing page or click to WhatsApp. So that would be a good start. But talking about YouTube, again, I think YouTube just takes longer. I think a lot of people don't have the stamina to stick it out. And I think we were talking earlier, it seems, what you and your team have noticed is that it's probably a lot harder now to get traction on YouTube than it was when you started.
Yeah.
So 900 videos in, well done. I mean, I think that's massive.
Yeah, I was actually surprised. I was shocked. I don't know how we managed. Yeah, because in 4 years, that's almost like one every 3-4 days. It's crazy.
It is.
And I don't think everyone can do it. I don't even know how we managed.
I think the thing is people give up too soon. And that's what makes all these platforms really tough, because you may get an early win and you may think this is easy. And then the next time you put something up, you get nothing. And again, same with the email game, same with anything really. It's just being consistent and putting the effort in, regardless of what's happening. Because every piece of content, anything that you're doing online lives forever, essentially. It's going to be found by someone in the future. And your future self will thank your past self for doing that. Because it may just be the catalyst that changes everything. Maybe you're ahead of your game and you're predicting something, or you're talking about something that no one else is talking about. And 3 years from now, the market turns and suddenly there's a huge interest in this. And guess what? Your content gets picked up and suddenly that's the wave you ride. I mean, really, it's so unpredictable, but at the same time, you can create the predictability by actually just being consistent in creating content on all the platforms that you can. And then again, making it easy for people to reach you. That's the key.
Yeah, and being responsive once again. So what CRMs would you suggest are relevant in the South African market, accessible but also affordable? Because once again, as you said earlier on, when a business is going through a tough time, marketing is the one that suffers first, which is actually, I know it's a shame, because, and we all know it's wrong, because if you don't market, you don't sell. But we're always watching the bottom line. So which ones are the affordable ones? But another thing also, when I was researching CRMs, is which ones can get the support that you've got on yours. Because I know the CRM, the base that you're using, the sky's the limit. But again, as a layman on the other side, for me to sit and figure it out and get it to work for real estate will be literally like doing another degree, whereas you specialize in automation and responses and all that, and marketing as a whole. So give us some ideas of CRMs that are simple and some that are super complex, but they support in South Africa, such as yours.
So, I mean, yeah, you can, the problem with CRMs today is, it's a problem, it's a good and it's a bad problem. There's a lot of options. So if you're not a company that requires some sort of bespoke thing, there are opportunities to look online and sign up for a CRM. I mean, you've got Zoho CRM, and then you've got industry-specific CRMs that cater to a specific market. So you could have an automotive, there's a lot of CRMs in the real estate space. You've got, for example, Integral Base, part of their product, they've got a CRM system. Propcon is another CRM system, but each one comes with, its own take on what they believe their customers need and what their customers have asked for, so they cater to those needs. Obviously, if you're going a little bit more expensive, you could do something like a HubSpot, Salesforce, but again, a lot of these systems are US dollar-based costing, which is tough for South African small business.
Very.
And again, sometimes too complicated, and it's more than they need.
Yeah.
And even if you go on the base, even if it's free, even if it's like really, really cheap, generally there's a restriction on something. So what it does is you get into it, you start building, and you start to grow. And then you are almost penalized for growing. Your database gets, one subscriber too big, and suddenly you have to pay in another window because now you're growing and the system is helping you grow. So if you're being cost sensitive to these things, I think, just consider the options. Which are the systems that don't require you to pay based on how big your database is?
Okay.
Look, there's Property Funnels is one where we don't charge you for the size of the database that you have. We keep it really easy to understand the pricing model. And of course, if there's any extra services required, we just charge generally on a case-by-case basis, depending on what people need. But like you say, support or documentation or some sort of way to contact people to help you, I think is probably the biggest thing, because you're right. I mean, I had to learn quickly to sell something and to use the same system at the same time. Versus you are in real estate, you've got a team, you've got, audits, and there's a lot of other things that are happening, not just the real estate side of it, your financials, plus you still want to have time with your kids and your husband. So you don't always have the time to learn every single thing. That's why having accessible people to help you bridge that gap makes a big difference, because somebody can build it for you or show you how it's done or give you some sort of resources that are unique to your case, so that the next time you want to build something, you just go through that step, and you've still got, if you are unsure or something breaks or didn't work like you intended it to work, why, you can still follow up with someone in person and ask, why did this happen like this? And they will go and help you look and help you solve the problem. Because a lot of the stuff can be over the shelf, and you can buy a Ferrari, but a lot of Ferraris come with no seats on the market. That's what I always say.
Do they really?
In the CRM world,
Okay.
a lot of them are, they really are quality systems. But the one thing that ties everything together is always going to be the content, because tech without a heart is dead, right? I mean, otherwise it's a Ferrari, but you've got to now build a steering wheel and install some seats. And I don't know about you, but I don't know how to do these things myself.
Yeah.
So there you need a degree and you need some experience.
Okay.
So you want to shortcut the time to go to market as short as possible by getting the Ferrari, but having the seats, the steering wheel installed. And later, when you feel comfortable, you can customize the paint job yourself, because you'll know what to do, or you can hire someone to do that for you.
So start very basic.
Start really basic with what you need right now. So we have a habit of giving people what they want. So we give them what they want, but then we also build what they need, because I know that the next step is going to be, you need that part, because 99% of the people that I speak to always say the same thing. I need leads. Where actually what they're trying to tell me is they need to sell property. They need opportunities to talk to people.
Okay.
Lead gen is the easy side. It's what happens after someone fills in their information. What is your plan B for if that person doesn't want to sell their property today or this month? And most people don't have the plan B in place, or don't have the system with the plan B in place. And I think that's what you need to solve.
Yeah. And then where do you see, in terms of marketing again and lead gen, I mean, you say it's easy. It's not easy at all. And yes, nurturing afterwards is necessary, but the lead gen is quite tough. But where do you see the best success? Is email still alive? And as you said, plain email, is WhatsApp, where are you hearing your other clients, your other estate agents saying that they're getting the best success?
That's a tough one, because it's different per agent. And I think the best success comes from being the most resolute in staying in touch. So I don't think it's channel specific. I don't think that you're going to get a better return on investment if you use WhatsApp versus email. I think it comes down to using all those channels that are available to you appropriately and responsibly. Because email, I don't care if I receive an email from you or a company at 11 p.m. at night. I'm not going to check my email probably, and doesn't make a difference to me. Versus if you WhatsApp me at 11 p.m. at night, I'm probably not going to be happy with that.
True.
And depending on my personality, I may report your number. So be careful with how and where you use WhatsApp if you're going to have it as a part of your marketing mix. So I think, again, it comes down to opportunities to talk to people. So the lead gen side, remember, we can offer more than free valuations. That's not the only thing that's available to an agent. You can have a downloadable. You can have, if you put in a little bit of effort to create something unique that people really want.
Yeah.
And you know what people want because you speak to people every single day. They tell you, I wish we had something like this. Oh, I wish I'd known that.
Yeah.
These are all opportunities to create something that your audience has already told you they need. And in exchange for that, an email and a phone number. That's really it. And then having something that is relevant to what that person asked for in place as part of your long-term nurture. Because I want the downloadable now, but I'm probably not going to sell my house now if it has something to do with market fluctuations. But if you gave me something good, I'm probably not going to be upset if you email me a few times. But something will happen in my life. And I always think about a golf analogy. You did all the right things. You teed the ball off. You got it up to the green, and something happened. You got bored or you got lazy, and you just never putted the ball into the hole. And that's generally the difference, is you just didn't go one step further. And what happened is something changed in that person's life, and they don't remember you. So they go outside and they see a billboard or a dustbin. God forbid they see a dustbin with an agent on it, and they phone him. Yeah. And
because you stopped emailing.
Because you stopped communicating. You weren't omnipresent.
True.
So you've got to combine paid, organic, and other channels, email, WhatsApp, all into sort of like one ecosystem. You need to be doing content online on your channels consistently. You need to be advertising your business consistently. You need to be emailing consistently. And again, you can't do any of this. If you're one person, you still have a day job.
With an Excel spreadsheet. Yeah.
Yes, but also as a single person.
Yeah.
You systemize all these things. You don't rely on yourself to create everything yourself, because you're never going to be able to do that. And you can systemize and automate almost 90% of all that stuff.
Okay.
by just putting in a few hours a month, and then the rest of your month is basically sorted. It just comes down to your appetite for how much you want to grow and how fast. And you need to always be investing into your business, into your marketing, into your paid for marketing. You have to do these things, because if you don't, then no one else is going to, and you're going to wonder why you're broke and you have no customers, because you just didn't invest any money into your business. And we're not talking tens of thousands, 3,000 Rand a month, which sounds like a lot, but I can guarantee you that you can turn 3,000 Rand into 300,000 Rand pretty quickly if you can leverage it well. And real estate is one of those really nice industries where you can leverage your 3,000 Rand and turn it into 300,000 Rand.
Yeah.
With getting just that right person at the right time, and then being really good at being an agent or being a professional in your industry. Because even if you get a bunch of leads and you're a horrible agent and you don't know how to talk to people, or you're too pushy, you really aren't going to sell any property. You're not going to get any mandates. True. So also working, I suppose, on your sales skills and your personality skills and your interpersonal skills is also important in business.
Yeah, CRM can't help you with that.
No. Your CRM can't help you with that, because when the rubber hits the road, it's you and that person. And if they don't like you,
yeah.
I mean, 80% of business is people liking you, really. You've got to be likable. And if you're not likable, maybe go and find somebody else that's more likable and partner up with them, because that will probably help the business
You
grow.
just work on the CRM.
You just work on the CRM and you work on the back office and you do the administration. You basically get everything set up. You become the cold caller. You become the appointment setter. I don't know. I mean, I think it's going to work different for each person, but I think, 80% of business is people liking you enough to do business with you. Which
means you still need to leave yourself in it. Enough, just as, So do you regret opening your own business? Do you want to go back and get a salary? All the sleepless nights. Sometimes you do some automations for me at 2 a.m. Would you rather have a salary, or would you rather run your own business?
I think for a long time I knew I wasn't built for a salary job, because I got bored. Yeah. And I was always looking for things to do. I remember once I did something on my own, like on my own profile. It was purely just because I had some knowledge. I wanted to share it, and I got called in, and my boss at the time said to me, "No, you can't do this. You're permanently employed." So I never really ever did the employed game probably very well, because I'm a person that likes to just do versus think and then do. So I like to go forward as fast as possible. But no, I actually have zero regrets. I think it was the right time, and the timing was important. I was lucky because I think I was at the right time, at the right place. I had the right idea, and I was able to capitalize and get that sort of first mover advantage in where I am. And also, I suppose, having a passion for what you're doing. I think that was the main thing, like actually caring. And you can't break the 2 a.m. wake up once it starts. Yeah. And that was necessitated by, at the time, during COVID, when I was trying to build this thing, we were in a 2-bedroom townhouse with 3 kids, and you couldn't go anywhere. Yeah. And the only time to really work and have thinking and brain work and deep work was 2 a.m. in the morning, because there were small babies, and the rest of the day you're basically sitting, sharing a dining room table with kids, playing and TV blaring. There's no way you can do deep work at those times. Zoom calls were a challenge, especially in winter, because I had to sit outside on the patio with my gloves on and try and sell in the cold. So no regrets. I think it's been a fantastic journey, and I think I've grown, I've learned, and I've formed some really incredible relationships along the way.
No, awesome. So well done, and thanks for joining. Any final thoughts, any tips for us aspiring small business owners?
The only tip, thank you for having me. The only real tip is to think about, don't be so cost sensitive to the nuts and bolts of systems and of your marketing. make sure that you put plans in place that you can actually, from a year from now, you don't regret the decision you took. Because growing a database that you own, that you have the opportunity to communicate with, is fundamental to the longevity of your business. Businesses get sold with databases and they get valued as a result of that. It's nice to have 1,000 likes on Facebook, 10,000 subscribers on YouTube, but unless you can convert those people into something, it doesn't mean anything. And again, you simply operating on rented land. Facebook went down the other day, and the world panicked. WhatsApp goes down every now and then, the world panics. But having the ability to communicate with people when Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok is down, and you have to get a marketing message out or being accessible is key in today's environment. And no one system is perfect, but own and grow a database from day one is what I would say, and leverage it continually. Make sure that you're always enriching it with new data, up-to-date data, following your customer journey, because there's clues in there about what's working well and what's not working so well. So just have the idea right now to invest in something that's actually going to be good for your business, not just today, but definitely into the future.
And keep at it.
Keep at it, and always look at what's trending, what's going on in your market. Be a consumer as much as you are a professional, because you're dealing with consumers. We sometimes remove ourselves from that consumer mindset, who our customers are, and we're always looking at our own business. Make sure you experience things from the consumer side, because then you'll see why this person's doing better than you, or you'll recognize where you can grow and where you can do, a lot better in your own marketing and your own brand exercises for your business. And then one last takeaway, if I may.
You're full of diamonds.
When you're advertising, and this comes down to a lot of business owners are very precious about their branding, their CI documents. Don't be so precious about those things, because your customer generally doesn't care. So the most important thing is, what's the offer? Is it clear? Is it easy to claim? And is it something people really want?
Okay.
And make your marketing around that. Less about your company, more about your customer and what they really want.
Yeah, we do see this often with agents, winner of, top agent of the month, the most smiling agent, the this, the that, so you're saying customers don't care about that.
Customers don't care about that. Okay. That's nice for you. That's nice for camaraderie. But I think whether you sold a house in the suburb this month, I actually really, as a consumer, couldn't care less.
Yeah.
I only care about you solving my problem. And it's not a bad thing to use that, but don't only rely on that.
Yeah.
And if your company requires certain fonts and your brand, the logo has to be there and it can't be a shade too dark or too light, that is a challenge. And I'm just saying, like, if you are the person pulling the strings, don't be so precious about those things, because your customer doesn't care about it. And remember, your customer isn't on a platform to be advertised to. They're not looking for advertising.
True. They're looking for entertainment.
They're looking for entertainment, and they're looking for ways to solve their problems. So make them aware that you can actually help them with their problem, and focus on that as your main message, not on your branding and, adhering to every single little guideline that's set out. Just be clear in your offer and make it easy for someone to claim that offer.
Okay, brilliant. And on that positive note, thank you so much. We'll do this again. Because I can see you've got a lot of thoughts. So we'll think of the next one.
We will. Thanks, Marussia. Appreciate it. And thank you for everyone that tuned in and watched. And yeah, we should be back soon. I'm sure there's a lot more to talk about.
Yeah, we'll keep thinking. Okay, thanks.